Hi, I'm going to start, so please take your seats. It's going to be a tour of hormone therapies, but with a lot of exciting information. Thank you for being there. For those who don't know me, I'm a doctor who lives in Brussels and who has authored a lot of books on hormone therapy and some basic reference books. This is a family tradition since 4 generations. And so my great-grandfather started in 1892 with thyroid therapy and was succeeded by my grandfather, Luc Hertoghe, and my father, Jack Hertoghe, and I'm the fourth and maybe the last. But I'm still being there for a long time, I hope. And I wanted to talk to you about the situation of today now. We have the COVID-19. A lot of people are putting masks on, which is very good. First step for prevention, social distancing, very good. But nevertheless, although those cautions, there is a new second wave going on in many countries. So I'm going to give you some more information on what to do when to avoid having the COVID, and to, if you have the COVID, what exactly treatments may help. Basically, I have given in 2 YouTube videos a lot of details, but since then I've acquired experience, and we've been very active actually in the clinic to I would lessen the damage that is all around us. And we were successful in many ways. First of all, almost none of our patients, to my knowledge at least, has had any severe problems. We did have some doctor patients that had some problem, but it helped us also to know how to do and how to treat, because one of those doctors was really working in the nursing homes and once took out his mask and had then some problems, but it was very interesting how dramatically improved by applying the treatments that we propose. So what are the treatments you should do to prevent having the COVID? Well, basically, what is extremely important, because they're working on my computer, and it gives me some problems now and then. And basically, of course, you need to put masks on, but also the temperature is very important. If you live in the cold temperature, not good. The warmer, the better, the less there's a virus transmission, and also the humidity of the air. The air may not have a humidity of 80%, that's too much, that will stimulate viral development. But if it's too dry, the mucosa dries out and the virus penetrates easily. 30% humidity, like when you put the heater on, if you're in a cold country, that's not good either. So basically, what is good is having 60% humidity. And besides all those precautions, is also good food, paleo diet, eating vegetables, fruits, and meat and fish, but cooked at low temperature, not in oil or butter. You should never do that. It always makes the oil toxic, and that impairs your immune system. Also, being away from electromagnetic fields, not too much electricity around, all that is important. Not putting your phone too near your body is important. But then, what are the nutritional therapies that help the most in the prevention? That is, zinc is a major one. I have really researching since 3 months intensively all the literature that exists with nutrients and hormones on what works. And zinc has by far the best record on inhibiting almost any virus infection in vitro. In vitro means in laboratory. So that's really something to tell you. What we did here is to take extra zinc, like 50 milligrams, eventually possibly 100 milligrams a day of a zinc citrate preparation is efficient. And then there's vitamin D you should take. In the normal dose of vitamin D is not 400 international units, it's 10,000 international units to take per day. For a person who doesn't do a lot of sports, it's completely safe. If you do a lot of sports or you're obese, that dilutes you in a bigger volume, and the fat tissue, it takes a lot of vitamin D. It's 20,000 international units you can safely take, and that really helps to stimulate the immune system. There's also vitamin C, between 1 and 2 grams in prevention. And there's some iodine eventually you can take. But what are the hormones? They are basically really interesting hormones effects that you can have. And one of these treatments everybody knows is melatonin. Melatonin is a sort of major anti-inflammatory hormone. And so basically, there are 4 hormone therapies that work. Melatonin is one you can take at night and has a preventive effect because it also fluidifies the blood, is anti-inflammatory, but also stimulates the immune system. Then there's also cortisol. Cortisol is the most, I would say, misused hormone. And when it's used, it's in too high doses. It's used without a protective hormone like DHA. And that really makes a big difference to learn how to work with it. Cortisol has shown to stimulate the immune system by putting sugar, actually, by stimulating, increasing the sugar level and putting it in the cells. And so really have with cortisol a push up of the immune system. And we know that people with Addison's disease, one of the main causes from what they die prematurely is actually having infections. One infection after another, and they inflame very easy because they don't have enough cortisol. And but if you take cortisol, you also almost always should take an equivalent dose of DHA to protect you. So, for example, a woman takes on average 20 milligrams per day, and a man 30 milligrams. Well, you need the same amount of DHA in milligrams. Also, there's thyroid hormones, and thyroid hormones are hormones that stimulate the whole endocrine system, meaning that if you give thyroid hormones, you often have higher levels of all the other hormones, like growth hormone, which is quite immune stimulating, IGF-1, testosterone, which has anti-inflammatory effects that are of importance. Cortisol is also more secreted with thyroid hormones. And female hormones, estradiol is a very immune-enhancing hormone. So basically, that is also something good for prevention. And then what we have for also is having other hormones working, like thymosin alpha-1. Thymosin alpha-1 is a hormone most people don't know, but it's the main hormone secreted by the thymus, that's a gland behind the sternum, that stimulates the whole immune system. And basically you have more lymphocytes, they are more activated with it, and has also one advantage compared to products that you find from pharmaceutical drugs, is that it also does not make your body inflame too much. So it stimulates the immune system and calms inflammation down. Exactly something you need if you ever have the severe COVID-19 infection, because we can die COVID-19 by what is called a cytokine storm, too much of those cytokines. And then there is so basically all these hormones have efficacy of hormones, but what do you do when you have severe COVID-19? So I had one of those patients with severe COVID, lungs were full, pneumonia, had to go to the hospital, didn't want to because in hospitals, the reputation is you die there. But anyway, whatever this reputation, we had to save his life. And this physician actually, physicians are not always taking as good care of themselves as they do of their patients. So basically, I told him, take more cortisol, take more thymosin alpha-1. And then 2 days after, he was getting severe fever, was worsening. And I asked him, what did you take? Well, he hardly had increased his doses. But you need to increase when you have a severe COVID with either cortisone or cortisol. These are synonyms. You need not to take the 20, 30 milligrams or 40 milligrams. You need to go to 80 up to 100 milligrams. So he did that, and in 2 days was much better. He also increased finally his thymosin alpha-1 to a 3 times higher amount, which also helped him. And he was on a hormone like growth hormone, and he switched over to IGF-1, which stimulates the cortisol production while growth hormone decreases. So basically there was a switch that also helped him to recover much better, but spectacular recovery, because I don't think people who has been so sick has recovered in 2 weeks' time as quickly as he did with this type of treatment. So that was very, very good. What you can also do when you have severe COVID is you can take much higher amounts of cortisol if you are not adrenal deficient. If you're adrenal deficient, melatonin can decrease the cortisol. So high dose of melatonin orally between 1 and 10 milligrams, or maybe even 20 milligrams for a person who has a little bit swollen face, a lot of cortisol, for example, may help to also recover better. So basically, this is what I would suppose if ever you have a COVID-19 starting, you need smaller doses, but if you have a severe COVID, you need to go to the higher amounts, not of thyroid hormones, that you may not really increase in high amounts, although there's a therapeutic trial going on now in Greece where they're trying very high amounts of thyroid hormones to stimulate the immune system, because animal studies have shown that thyroid hormones, when they put animals in hypothyroidism, they overcome many infections much better. But it's a transient effect, of course, so you may not continue on very high amounts. And so that sort of transient effect with injections of thyroid hormones, they're trying in double-blind placebo-controlled study in Greece now. And so maybe a transient could increase, but I wouldn't advise it for the moment because I basically have enough tools to overcome. Now, if you have a small COVID-19 infection, how do you do with cortisol? Imagine you have cortisol, well, you can take every half hour 5 milligrams of hydrocortisone, which is a small amount actually, or 10 milligrams if it's more severe, every half hour during 2 hours. And often then, if you start having an infection like the flu or COVID-19, it goes over. It doesn't go through. So there are several ways you could do to improve. And then the nutrients, if you have you're getting an infection, but it's not traumatically severe, you should go to very high amounts of vitamin D, like 50,000 international units for 5 days, per day for 5 days. And then vitamin C, you can go from 5 to 10 grams. If you don't have diarrhea, it's okay. And you need more anyway in those situations. And zinc, you can go up to between 100 and 200 milligrams easily, and that will really help. Zinc kills the COVID-19 virus and other viruses by actually intoxicating it. So if you take more, your cells will tolerate it, but the virus will not tolerate it. So that's really some key aspects. So now, many people who know me, I want to get this hormone therapy, all these hormone therapies much more recognized, because it's so important for what is called the post-COVID period. In the post-COVID, we are so, many people want another life. They want to have a quality of life. There's something, when they have been confined at home, many people have been start thinking, what is my life? What am I really doing? Am I running all the time and I'm not really enjoying life? Well, hormone therapies can give this joy back in your life that is so important for you. I think really that we have to have a better quality of life. We have to be happier, not just survive from one even to the other in our life. We have to be fully alive. And the answer is that you need, of course, to have a good food, to breathe healthy air, to hear, not to have too much noise around you and a good atmosphere, but you need also to have good nutritionals and to have adequate hormone levels. If you don't have adequate hormone levels, you suffer needlessly. It's a waste of your time in a certain sense to spend your time not correcting or not having your hormone deficiencies corrected. And this is what I want to talk to you. This is really my message now, is that these hormone therapies are extremely scientific. We have built up an International Hormone Society website, a new website for all these references, and it's tremendous. And it's at end of July, probably will have all the data on it. So for you to enjoy, much of it is free, freely accessible. All of what is called the most important studies, like the placebo-controlled studies with hormone therapy. And you'll see that the extent of information outclasses what almost any pharmaceutical drug has, because the pharmaceutical drug is invented by a firm who is the only one who does the studies. Well, on hormone therapies, we have studies since more than 90 years for most of them, and a lot of institutions all over the world are making them. And so it's really important to know that these therapies are also safe. The lethal dose, the LD50, that means the dose that kills 50% of rodents in general. I don't appreciate that they do these studies, but they have been done. Well, when you look at these LD50s, the LD50 of a hormone for a useful dose for humans is often 10 times higher than the little dose 50 for many common pharmaceutical drugs, which means they are 10 times safer. Before you get an accident, you already have to severely overdose to get some acute problem. And for melatonin, for example, which is hormone secreted by the pineal gland, the little dose is non-existing. You never have been able to kill a rodent by giving too much melatonin. So really, safety is important. The science is behind it, and it's efficient. These hormone therapies often are much more potent than nutrient therapies, although I am a real believer that you also need to correct nutritional deficiencies. They are very important. And so let's look also, so basically everything I talked about immunology in COVID-19 now, there's much more details with all sorts of virus infections, all sorts of bacterial infections, of sepsis, that's the septicemia, that is the infection of the whole body, by pathogens and by parasites, and all these connections with hormone therapies and nutritional therapies and the food will be presented in a 2-month model on the FRA University. I'm leading their new evidence-based hormone therapy formation there. And the first is really it's really important model of 2 months. It was weekly, 1 hour and a half to 2 hours weekly, very in detailed, but also very practical, very easy to learn information, but information you will find nowhere, because I really worked extensively on collecting all the literature. So really interesting with practical doses and tips. And then in this FRA University program, that is a 2-year program with a 3rd year of specialization, you have then a 2-month of reversing physical aging with hormone therapy and nutritional therapies. And that is based on my big book. You see it on behind. It's the 2nd book with the little eye that you see there. And basically that book is 1,100 pages, big book also. A lot of information on how to reverse the aging of the hair, if you lose hair, whatever type, if you are aging in your face, if you're aging on your senses, the taste, the smell, the eyesight, the hearing loss, many things can be done. And often hormone therapies are the most potent to make a change in that all. And so I think in the post-COVID period, what we need is not only to get safe from infections and stimulating the immune system, which may even make us live longer, but we need to look good and to feel good. But if you want to feel good, you also will have to look better, because it's the same hormones that actually work on both sides. For example, growth hormone and IGF-1 are the most potent hormones to reverse aging. So if you have sagging cheeks, you get a sort of a stretching of your face, you lose the fat in your belly and things like that. But those hormones that potently change your body and may reverse maybe aging 5, 10, maybe 15 years back in time, those hormones give an intense feeling of calmness, and you're much more relaxed, and you feel better with it. So you can also recover more your energy. You have insight, really insight into problems. Even if the problem is slightly there, you already have the solution. It's like you're getting more intelligent with, at least this is what happened with me when I first started at age 38 to take it. And now it's 25 years already I'm taking it. So basically, I thank every day that these therapies that are safe at physiological doses. I always stress, don't take too much, don't take too little, just take the right dose, that they really make the difference. And so basically we'll have a 2-month model also in the FRA University of Barcelona. It's also in Miami, so it's an international university for postgraduate information training. That really is something that will really be fascinating. I think everybody should know it. Even patients should know this information, because it's something we're always busy. We always have been trained our whole life to think aging is a natural phenomenon, but it's not natural phenomenon. It is really something that is actually a sort of illness or disease that makes it much life not so good. Okay. Okay, I had some information that I have to pronounce the name of the hormones better. So, okay, I will do it. So basically, what helps to reverse aging are many hormones. All have a role. Thyroid hormones make you lose the swelling and the fat in your body. Growth hormone improves your muscles with IGF-1 and thickens the skin and the hair. We have other hormones like vasopressin to take the small little lines folds you can have on your face that are due to dehydration, and that's really something very important, because I personally say to my doctor students that you have to try that each time your patient comes in a consultation, the patient looks a little younger. If he looks younger, he's healthier, or she is healthier. That's really important. And then let's go to another part that we need for the post-COVID. We need to get rid of the fatigue. The fatigue is really something that makes life less worth living if you're always tired, for example. And many people are always tired, and some are even burned out. And it's actually so easy to get rid of almost all, I cannot promise all, but almost all of even the severe case of fatigue. Why the cases do not recover with resting enough and things like that? Well, it's very simple. Because the hormone deficiencies that are behind it, if it's a long-lasting fatigue that is every day there, every year there are hormone deficiencies that are not corrected. Or in some who don't have a good food, nutritional deficiency, nutrient deficiencies that are not corrected. And then you have a needless suffering of being tired, of lack of energy. And why is it not corrected? Because the majority of doctors believe hormone deficiencies is a rare occurrence. Only 1% of the population, 2%, has a hormone deficiency of a particular hormone. And that is not true. At birth, many babies have not optimal hormone levels that can be considered as mild deficiencies that might need to be corrected too. At older age, there's an increasingly a trend to increasingly more deficiencies and more severe deficiencies. And do you ever believe that a person of 50 years has optimal hormone levels? No. We need to correct these hormone deficiencies with the bioidentical, the natural or physiological hormones. And that makes a difference. For example, and I think this information should be taught on primary school, not in medical faculty. That should be then a more deeper course. But on primary school, you should teach the children that if they have a morning fatigue and they get sort of stiffness when they wake up and they have swollen eyelids and all the physical signs, that's generally due to thyroid deficiency, because it goes away when you correct the thyroid deficiency with thyroid supplements. If you have a fatigue that is in the afternoon, and in a person who's tensed and nervous, that's usually due to magnesium deficiency. And it goes away by taking magnesium supplements, especially if the person is easily irritable. Give magnesium, irritability goes down. And then if there's an evening fatigue, can be done to iron deficiency. And it's almost always, if you fall asleep before the TV, I'm sure there is iron deficiency. if that's the main sort of fatigue the person has. But if there's a fatigue in stress condition, it can be cortisol deficiency. And if there's exhaustion, really the person never can recover anymore in his life or her life. That's usually due to growth hormone deficiencies. Something that is in the body. Hormone therapies are ecological medicine. It's a medicine that is working with the body's own molecules. And when they're too low, we just correct them. We don't give an overdose like in bodybuilding, or that's crazy, because in bodybuilding, sometimes they get overdevelopment of muscles and of a body. And then there's many hormone deficiencies. There's one super hormone that is too much in excess, and others are then extra deficient because the body has developed more. So I really think now that this knowledge should be taught to everybody, because we can live free of fatigue at least most of our life. If you work too much and you don't sleep enough, of course you'll get tired. But if you sleep enough and you're eating correctly and you're still tired, there's probably something wrong with the hormones in you, and you can correct that, or with nutritionals. But often hormones are more potent to correct chronic fatigue than nutrients are. So we'll have a model in the FRA University that will be in January 2021, where we'll talk about, it's February 2021, where we'll talk extensively in 4 courses of 1.5 hours to 2 hours about this, with examples, but also how you can treat with this, also the science. It's always interesting to see what the science shows, also the physiology and things, but basically in a way that is so practical, because it's designed for doctors when they get to they follow the webinar or the online video, the next day they can already apply it in their practice easily. The focus is to put it easily, scientific, but still easily and practical. And then in this post-COVID period, I think we should take very good care of our hormones for many other reasons, physically, aspects, psychologically. And one of those treatments, I think, is female hormones. Now, the tendency is to give at the menopause, after age 50 years in general, to women female hormones, estrogens and progesterone, the 2 major hormones. But do you believe in a fairy tale? Do you really think, you really believe, as a physician or as a general public, that women between age 30 and age 50 are optimally in their female hormone levels? No. From age 18 to 22, 23, there's a slow decline in the female hormones that is significant, meaning that it's really scientifically proven. From age 30, there's lower levels of estrogens and lower levels of progesterone. And you think this is safe, that this is without any harm? Well, at least there's a lower quality of life because of that. And there's a beginning of aging due to a lack of female hormones between age 30 and 50 years, so long before the menopause. And the estrogens are hormones that give to women not only energy full time, but also they give a sort of enthusiasm, excitement. Wow, that's excitement, that the fire to women, that actually attracts men to women so much. This excitement, a bit Latin excitement that they often show, that's due to estrogens. And so it's not that menopause you should start treating it. You should start treating as soon as there's a decline in estrogens, because also the eyes get dry. If they have to put contact lenses, they cannot put them on if the eyes are too dry. And then the hair becomes flat, and it's attractive to have a lot of volume in the hair. Also for men, anyway. There's also for men many hormone ways to improve it. But there's one major way, but we'll talk that maybe later if I have time. And so basically, these female hormones are really something that makes a difference to women and have to be started early. And so we'll have a course of 4 times 1.5 to 2 hours next, how to balance those hormones, how to correct endometriosis, polycystic ovarian disease, cystic disease, how to improve fibroids or at least decrease their development, how to improve fertility, how to treat excessive menstruation, how to treat premenstrual syndrome. There are 8 different types of premenstrual syndrome that have to be each time differently treated, but it really works. I've been very fascinated by premenstrual syndrome because I encountered as a very young doctor one of the women who had an organization for it, and I saw the despair that was in all these women. So be sure there are really ways that really work now. And so basically we'll also have a module in January 2021 in the FRA University of Barcelona, but this FRA University course is online by webinar. So you don't have to go to Barcelona, you can do it everywhere in the world, and and even if it's a live webinar, it's recorded so you can see it at a more convenient time for you if the time is not convenient. And so we'll really talk about this because I really believe that women are precious and that they need to enjoy life as much as they can and as safe as it can be. And that's why they need to have, in a balanced way, well-balanced way, their female hormone levels corrected. And then for the post-COVID period, what I really think also is important is to correct the thyroid function. Not only because it's a family tradition since 4 generations that we treat thyroid problems, but because there are so many thyroid problems in women. There's so many people have thyroid deficiency or have autoimmune thyroiditis or even have hyperthyroidism. So any dysfunction of the thyroid, and that doctors often do not really know what to do or believe there's nothing to do for autoimmune thyroiditis. And there's a lot to do. You need to stop the autoimmune thyroiditis, for example. That's a disease where the body makes antibodies against its own thyroid. And to treat it, you need to treat the cause, not the consequence. And not only the cause, it's certainly the cause. And there are many different causes, Paul. Selenium, vitamin D deficiencies, and relatively high doses really give very good, when you give that as supplements, vitamin D and selenium, you can really get a strong decrease in autoimmune thyroid. But it's not only that, there can be a cortisol deficiency, there can be many thymosin alpha 1 deficiency also can create actually autoimmune thyroiditis around food intake, eating milk products, a lot of sugars and things like that, and there can be some food allergies. So basically, it's a science to correct that, but everybody can learn it. It's not a so complicated science that you cannot learn the tools. You don't have to remain with these diseases. You have to make that the drastic decrease or completely are corrected. And that will be taught in a model on the FRA University in February 2021. Now, for those who wouldn't attend all those webinars, I can tell you there's always an overview webinar that is free, where the information will be overviewed of the next model of 1 or 2 months. And so you can freely have an access. I bet that if you follow the overview seminars, you will want to go to the whole model. But anyway, if you don't want to invest the money for that, it's okay for me. The importance for me is to spread the information that these are the possibilities and already give some information where you can do something with it. Or if you're a patient, to convince your doctor to come in this training program, or at least to follow the overview seminar so he gets an idea of what is possible. And he will probably sooner or later get into this medicine, because I think this is a medicine that can adapt to any specialty. There's always in each medical specialty a part that should be treated or will respond to hormone therapy. So basically, I think that's a good idea to at least attend those free webinars. And if you are motivated, you're a physician or you're a health professional like a pharmacist, you can also follow the whole training, and I think you will really like it because you will never regret doing it. And then there is in March 2021, in the FA will present melatonin, 7 to 8 hours of melatonin, because melatonin is really this hormone is secreted by the pineal gland during the night, and during the day by the intestines inside of the blood. This melatonin has shown many effects, not only to make you sleep better, because it really makes you sleep better the first hours of the sleep, and but it also can help you to adapt to jet lag, but it has also major immune stimulating effects, so that it is in almost any cancer it was tried in vitro, that means in laboratory on cell cultures, it has shown inhibiting effects. It's something that is major. I had you can go up to in severe cancer up to 150 milligrams per day, for example. It cannot kill you, so you can try that. If you tolerate it well, it is very cancer decreasing. I can never promise you, but it won't harm anyway. You do need to be a little careful with people who have cortisol deficiency that is not treated, because they tolerate it less, because it decreases the cortisol. It comes down a bit, the cortisol. So you need to have some care. But melatonin is really something that is important with and can combat inflammation. Interesting. And also, if ever you have a stroke, I had a family member who had a severe stroke. I can tell you that with melatonin, we probably saved their brain very much. So I think it's something you need to think about. It's safe and can be safely applied. You need to know in which disorders it really can help, and that will fully be explained with practical examples and question and answer session in the model in the FA University of Barcelona of March. And then in April, there is, let me see, in April, we'll have testosterone therapy in men. I just wrote a book of testosterone therapy. It's the first book you see there. I'm pointing with my finger there. And it's, I said it, testosterone therapy, the therapy for real gentlemen, because I believe it really can make you be the protector of others, defend causes, and in a gentleman way. You don't, testosterone full of violence, that's a person who has at the same time cortisol deficient, get violent. But if you have testosterone with enough growth hormone that calms you down, enough cortisol, you rather be a gentleman who will protect others and who doesn't be disturbed by a bad remark or something like that. And so testosterone is really interesting, because even in the COVID-19, where you see all these people perish, they look to be in atrophy, and testosterone reverses. Testosterone stimulates actually a lot the secretion of many hormones. This is how it can also help in severe COVID, building up the body. It's not really an immune-enhancing hormone per se, I mean, major one, but it's really something that really helps. And this testosterone is something that builds up your bones, your muscles, but also your brain. If you're too emotive, you're too or you're too shy, it can be because you're testosterone deficient. So you can have a lot of psychological problems as a man. You don't have, it's not, you can have erectile dysfunction. You can have, and what is interesting is that this testosterone is not bad for the prostate, actually. It's good for the prostate, but it may not convert too much to estrogens. And if it converts too much to estrogens, then it can do harm. So you need to master the science as a physician to master how exactly what stimulates the increase in female hormones from the testosterone conversion. And there's alcohol, there's coffee and things that does it, but there are other things that do it. Too much thyroid may do it and things like that. And by mastering this science, you can safely treat testosterone deficient men and do a lot of difference, change in this person. So this testosterone is really something that is very healthy for the body. It's also, if you have inflammation in genital areas or in muscles, it's something that makes you cure and heal quicker. much quicker. If I had a burn here, for example, and it didn't heal, well, I'll put testosterone in it within a week. It was almost completely healed. So it's really something that is beneficial, but you need to know which is the dose, what is the good product, how to administer, how to explain maybe the treatment, and that will be explained in a seminar that will take about 7-8 hours in total, in few sessions of 1.5 hours to 2 hours. So in May, I think it's in May that will be it. Oh yeah, and then we'll have in June seminar, well, testosterone therapy in women and progesterone therapy in men, and estrogen therapy in men, because some men are missing estrogen, very few, but it's interesting to know, so that doctors will avoid giving a blocker of the conversion of testosterone to estradiol in a too high dose, because men need to have female hormones or they don't look very man. They have even a not beautiful body if they are deficient with osteoporosis, things like that. So basically, this science will be mastered. Also, men need progesterone, not only women. Progesterone is a hormone that is secreted by adrenal glands and partly by testicles in men, and has some function to protect them from having gynecomastia, breast development, and a bigger prostate, for example. And we'll also learn a bit the science how to treat the prostate pathology so it can reverse prostate hypertrophy, because it's reversible with progesterone, suppositories, and some additional things that really help, even also to treat beginning prostate cancer. If it's a suspicion of prostate cancer, some biopsy, there are some results you could obtain by putting suppositories with some nutrients that are very anti-prostate cancer. That will be explained in details. But what is really interesting is the change that can bring in women when they get testosterone. Testosterone is, in women, really the unsuspected illness of a lot of severe problems. Example, severe depression that doesn't respond to anything. Person is 20 years in psychiatry, takes thyroid hormones, female hormones, still stays depressed. There's a possibility by giving testosterone injections, slightly higher amounts, with a protector so they don't get body hair growth, that makes a big change and makes life completely different. From a weak, complaining woman, she becomes a strong woman with strong personality. The cellulite shrinks. If cellulite doesn't go away in women, it's because they're lacking testosterone. You don't see cellulite in men easily. So because they always have a level of testosterone, male hormone, that is quite high compared to what women have. Even if it goes lower, it's still higher than in the women. So that's really interesting. The changes for the testosterone in women. Also, it can also preserve her arteries. And studies have shown that the more there is aging of the arteries, atherosclerosis, the lower the testosterone levels are. And not only of that male hormone, but of all other androgens like androstenedione, DHEA. So women really need the male hormones, or they are very lax and loose body with loose muscles. And then they hesitate a lot, are very anxious. Testosterone really gives them the courage and takes out the anxiety and some hyperemotivity that may handicap them. So that's really the big difference in all those things. And hormone therapies, there's so much more to say. I could probably talk for hours and hours and maybe days and days on it, because I saw so many changes. I'm a real believer because I'm treated myself. I take many different hormones because at age 63, which is my age, there are a lot of hormone deficiencies. Of course, it's not optimal. I have a lot still to learn and probably to correct on myself, but basically I really believe that my health is better because of that. Now I'm going to see if I can answer to some questions. And here, The question is, what is the dose of melatonin? It's melatonin. The dose of melatonin depends on the person, but if you take as a dose just to sleep, I would suggest to take sublingual melatonin under the tongue, and then it works better. It's better absorbed, and you need between 0.1 and 0.2 milligrams on average. But if you have a jet lag, you may have to increase the dose up to 5 times during 3 days, and then an intermittent dose, and then go back after 6 days to your normal dose for sleeping. So jet lag, increase of dose during 3 to 6 days. And if you have a severe disease like cancer, you may go up to extremely high amounts if you tolerate it. If your adrenals are not too weak, if you're very hollow in face and you're have a lot of brown spots on your face, that's typically due to low cortisol. In the low cortisol, there's more ACTH that colors, gives you those pigment spots. Well, in that case, you have to be careful with melatonin. Otherwise, you can in cancer go between doses between 5 and 50 milligrams, and in some severe cases up to 150 milligrams, and that may probably improve survival. Do I take cortisol 3 times a day? I usually recommend in my patients to take it twice a day. In the morning, for example, in a man 20 milligrams and 10 milligrams at lunch, a lower dose at lunch, or in a woman 10 milligrams. I personally always forget to take the second. So what I do is I take my 30 milligrams, which is the average dose in a man. I'm talking of the bioidentical cortisol, and that's weaker than the synthetic, so the doses seem to be high, but they are absolutely correct, those doses. I take it the 30 milligrams in the morning, and I can work up to 2 hours in the morning with it. So basically it works for me, but for most patients I need to take at least twice a day, and 3 times a day it's too difficult for most patients. Regarding changing to IGF, what would be recommended dosage? Also, IGF-1 has a very short life. It doesn't. It has a short life, but not in its efficacy. You can take IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, a hormone secreted by the liver under the stimulation of growth hormone mainly. The dose is between 0.3 and 0.1 milligram, or 0.2 and 0.3 to 1 milligram a day, actually. Normally, the lower dose is sufficient. Can you please review melatonin cortisol? What about adrenal? Is melatonin to be avoided? I think I answered this question. Is melatonin high dose avoided, or even 1 milligram? High dose is for jet lag or disorder or disease, but otherwise it's a lower dose that has to be taken, like the sublingual 0.1 to 0.2 milligrams. The dose of cortisol for an active infection, can you repeat this? It's 5 to 10 milligrams every half an hour during 2 or 3 hours. You may not take more than 2 or 3 times the daily dose. There's another method. If you don't take cortisol, you're not on the cortisol treatment, you can take, when you get the flu, and you only in the first 6 hours, you use first symptoms, you can take 30 milligrams or in once, and that can also solve the problem. So one intake and a high amount can help. Can you please repeat the hormone website you spoke of that has hormone studies? International Hormone Society website, but you'll have all the references more in details and better outlook within a month. So maybe wait a month, but you cannot, it's already online. Which is the difference between thymosin NF and FF1? I don't know. I don't know these products. I cannot answer. What hormone therapies can patient with DCISHR estrogen positive? I suppose it's breast cancer with estrogen positive receptors and some small progesterone levels, progesterone receptor levels. Remission since 4 years take to balance to fight COVID. Well, the hormone therapies I spoke, a person who has breast cancer can take the thyroid hormones, safe, but with some iodine then, and it's safer because there's a study that showed that people who were taking thyroid hormones without iodine had more breast cancer. So if you take thyroid hormones, there are also studies showing that thyroid hormones decreases breast cancer risk. So basically take them with iodine, Lugol drops, at least 3 to 5 drops a day. And cortisol can be taken, but with DHEA. in small doses, and you can take a lot of nutrients like vitamin D, and thymosin alpha-1 is the #1 hormone to take for such a patient. And then I want to say is that the studies have shown that women who had receptor positive cancer, estrogen positive and progesterone positive, have 30 to 70% lower mortality if they take female hormones. But you need to do this on the guidance of a doctor who has experience. And you can also wait a year more because you're 4 years and wish that 5 years are behind, and then do it. Because normally to live longer, it is better to have female hormones. Do you believe in peptides as hormone analogs? Peptides are complementary. They are not in the place of hormones. For example, there's the growth hormone, there's AOD96, which is a growth hormone fragment in the growth hormone is a large molecule of 191 amino acids. And this larger molecule, you can take one ending at the last from 176 to 191, which is the end molecule. So it's a very short part, and that can decrease fat, for example, but it cannot do a lot of other things that growth hormone can do. So it's just additional. And also peptides, many peptides are like follistatin, are molecules secreted by muscles or by the liver, and are only for the liver or only for the muscles. And so basically they have been isolated and you can use them, but they are additional to hormones. They don't replace. And then the stimulating, growth hormone stimulating peptides, they work a certain time and then the effect weighs off. So it's not as good on the long term as hormones, it's as the growth hormone itself. So I think you should consider more to be an addition than a replacement of the hormones. Where we can find a list of optimal hormones? Well, you can buy my books and then you have everything, all the information you want with references and things like that. I'll show some of the slides after. And then 11 years, male on growth hormone, thyroid hormones, T4 and T3, hydrocortisol has an incident of acute glomerulonephritis, possibly due to viral infection. How might you go about providing additional hormone therapy to prevent or treat future? You absolutely need to take also testosterone, because that is very good for if it's injected or transdermal for the kidneys. But you also need to take thymosin alpha-1, which is available in Italy in pharmacies and can sometimes be sent to your pharmacy where you are. High dose selenium, I have seen causes hair to become very dry and frizzy. Have you seen this? I haven't seen the hair to become dry with selenium, but it could be an effect. This is in patients with Hashimoto's thyroid. I think there's another problem in you if you get dry hair, and that can be that Hashimoto thyroiditis, which is this inflammation of the thyroid with thyroid antibodies, has not been treated, is getting worse, and that might be the cause of your dry hair, that it causes hypothyroidism. I think you need thyroid hormones. How can I get the overview of seminars? You can get all the information on slides. I'll show you the slides anyway. So let me see, share screen, and I'll just first the slides, and I'll show you, and then here's share the screen. I think it's this one. This is the one, yeah. Share. I'm still learning how to do it. Okay, so here are some books in French, Le Régime Hormone, the food, how to have a good food with it. I hope you're seeing the screen. It works or not? This is the screen, no? I don't see, I think, get my expert. But it doesn't show up here, but that's okay. Okay, so here are several books that I've published in French. Comment rester jeune plus longtemps was actually my first book. This is a book for general public in hormone solution that gives you a lot of information on the hormones. And this is one of my favorite books on oxytocin, actually. It's actually normally oxytocin, adventure, passion, sex, and long life. It gives oxytocin is really a hormone that changes your life. It makes you more friendly. It protects your heart against problems and things like that. And there's another book here that is the Patient Hormone Handbook. Very handy. You get really a lot of information. It's much less expensive than the professional books. And you can get them on a link that I will show you next, that is actually on the Hertoghe Medical School website. So there's International Hormone Society website, and then there's the Hertoghe Medical School website where you have 80 days of training online. And that is different from the FRA University it was before. And here you have a professional book. This is the #1 book, the one I sold the most actually, for physicians. There's more than 15,000 copies sold. It's really, you have everything for 18 hormone therapies, all the information physicians or professionals ever dreamed of having. It's very easy to read also. And this is my latest book, Testosterone Therapy for Real Gentlemen, more than 600 pages, all on testosterone, with, I think, an extensive, really extensive overview of all the scientific studies, but it always read in a way that is easy to understand, easy to manage a problem. And this reversing physical aging that I think is 20 years ahead of its time, in the sense that there's so much information that I found on whatever wrinkle you have, whatever type of hair loss you have, what are all the possibilities, what are all the signs that shows. And I must say I have a lot of experience with it, so I added a lot of my experience in it with practical details, practical information, how to solve it. And you need to know that when the problem is severe chronic, often there are several things you need to do, several supplements you need to take, because there's several deficiencies, and you need to correct them all to really have good results. So that's all in this 1,100-page big book. Also, and that's the Atlas of Endocrinology for Hormone Therapy, really interesting for physicians. There's more than 650 pictures of hormone deficiencies or hormone excesses of 20 hormone deficiencies, 19 hormone excesses. I didn't find excesses of thymosin alpha-1, but there were deficiencies. So you find that all in the book. Really interesting was also the lowest pictures, for example, black and white, are pictures from my great-grandfather. Published a lot of books on hormone therapy with before and after pictures. So we see you see the hair loss with thyroid deficiency, and then the hair coming back fully with just thyroid therapy. And yeah, the link before, I wanted to show you the links. These are the links for the United States, the professional books, but for all other books and also the professional books in Europe or Asia, it's hertoghemedicalschool.eu. Otherwise, it's UCPRX.com, a university compounding pharmacy that sells the professional books in the United States. So that's really where you can get these books. You can look at the two websites and then make your choice. And then this is really something I really want to talk about, and I already give you a lot of details, is EFRE, International University of Barcelona and Miami, where we're launching this evidence-based hormone therapy. It's a university degree and our CME or CPD credits. You have not only university degrees for a module of 2 months at least, or certifications for a year. It's a more important certification you can get, but you can get also for physicians who follow it, just CME credits or CPD credits, because we normally should get the European CME credits, where they're valid for many countries in the world, including Europe, but also Asia and normally in the United States too. So really interesting program. It's a 2-year training program, but you can do 2 months, or you can do just 1 session if you want. But then you won't get a university degree for 1 session. You just get a CME credit, and it's you can do 1 year. But basically, we propose you to 2 years, and for those who are really interested, they can go further in the 3rd year of specialization. All very strong and solid information, not only scientifically but also practically how it should be. And it will go through live webinars and online trainings. And don't forget, there's a free webinar that overviews the material 2 or 3 weeks before each module starts. And modules are per month for a team, or 2 months, a bit like I already explained you. And so then I wanted to talk to you about International Hormone Society. It's already created since long, but we're launching this new website on many major hormone therapies. It's a data bank that I think you don't find in any medical specialty. It has so many information. It has really extensive, a big part is free. There will be a more profound part with not only the reference, but the abstracts and some more information for physicians, how to justify their treatment with medical institutions, for example, and all this information, but we're still building it, it's big work. And then there's really an important number of placebo-controlled trials that you have, much more than you ever would thought of. And so everything's collected, ordered. If you want to know the studies on stroke, the studies on what testosterone could do for longevity, for example, everything is on it, of all those hormones. There's also a lot more studies than the placebo-controlled studies. For example, for growth hormone, we have it's about 510 placebo-controlled studies, 471 in adults. So it's a small percentage in children, in adults, but there's much more open studies and observational studies. Growth hormone, for example, I think there's about 20 studies showing that there's increased longevity with those who have, there's 30 studies with those who have higher IGF-1 levels. IGF-1 reflects growth hormone activity. So more, I think it's 31 studies. So you have all these studies that are not placebo-controlled studies, but very valuable studies too, all in this website. And I want to really extend a special thank you to TaylorMade Compounding. This pharmacy that is in the United States and Australia has really helped us, this website, make sure they put a bit of financial in it. And so I'm really grateful. Without them, we wouldn't be so far. So thank you, Nima, and thank you, Ryan, for this. And then these are all our major partners. You see Longevitat Saudável in Brazil, the SAM in Malaysia, Anti-Aging System, which is really the cutting edge firm since the very beginning, for where you're getting at everything you don't have elsewhere. Then there's the VP for Laboratory Pharmacy in the VIP in Argentina, and so many others. There's BioNoriso from Mexico, LIMS, the lab in Belgium, Laboratory in Luxembourg, the CEMAL, which is the society in Spain, and there are many that we didn't get the logos. University Compounding Pharmacy also, and that has helped us. So basically, we're very proud of our partners, but also very grateful for them for helping us market things. And I want to give you some words from Selvam Rangazami, who's the head of the SAHAM, the Society of, let's say, Anti-Aging Therapies and Orthomolecular Medicine in Malaysia.
Hi, I'm Dr. Selvam from Malaysia. I'm the president of the Society for Advancement of Hormones and Anti-Aging Medicine, Malaysia. There is a very important point I would like to make to all medical practitioners, that we should be healers. And by this I mean we should be able to prevent the diseases and as well as to reverse the diseases. In order to practice this healing medicine, to offer better health and to offer an extension of life for those who seek us and from people around the world, we need to equip ourselves with knowledge in integrative medicine and bioidentical hormone therapy. So I urge you to join Dr. Thierry and his team of experts from around the world who will share with you their wide knowledge and experience to craft you to be a healer. Thank you.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night. My name is Ariel Mikalowicz. I'm the Director of Pharmacy and Deep Laboratory of Argentina, one of the most important compounding pharmacies of our country. We have been in this market for 30 years, and today we are leaders in preparation for hormones replacement therapies, being the only ones making hormone pellets. We have the honor to be the representatives of Dr. Thierry Hertoghe in Argentina. Thanks to this, we will hold in April 2021 a symposium with the presence of Dr. Hertoghe himself, where we will share with prestigious doctors in our country 2 full days of knowledge around hormone replacement therapies. We will also take care of the promotion in our latitudes of the international courses that Dr. Hertoghe will launch in due course. Thank you for trusting us. Thank you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Hi there, this is Thomas Brown, the CEO of Bonarizo and the president of Jornadas Médicas Congress in Mexico. Last year, we had Dr. Hertoghe with us. Over 225 doctors were in attendance. It was a great time. Right now, we're focusing on learning from home, and no better way to follow Dr. Hertoghe in the IHS with the affiliation in the University of Barcelona, the Healthy Aging channel on YouTube, and all the great webinars like the one today. I can't wait to see you next year in 2021. Dr. Hertoghe is coming to Guadalajara for our 4th Congress. We're hoping for 500 doctors. We hope you can come join us as well. Meanwhile, we're going to keep learning from home. And, I'm looking for all the webinars that we're going to have. Dr. Hertoghe is going to join us in November for some great topics as well. Feel free to follow us as well on social media and be in touch. Thanks again for joining the webinar, and we'll see you soon in Mexico. Bye now.
So I'll go on to see some more questions. How can I find a list of optimal hormone levels? I think it's the book that already answered this. To get overview seminars, you had normally here, let me see, a slide, and this is what I wanted to show you with an email. And this email, this is the email that you need to take note of. Here you can get all the information you want. If you want to have a doctor that can prescribe, we have a list of doctors on the Hertoghe Medical School website, the same way you can buy books, that have succeeded in several exams. And that is really the best list I can offer to you. There's, I think, about 300 physicians there. And I cannot promise you that they are doing all the same medicine, but you can always come, if you live close to Belgium, to the Hertoghe Clinic, because we have several doctors practicing this medicine. And for the moment, they're even doing it by Skype or Zoom, because that's the way that is authorized for the moment to do. So you can also do it that way if you cannot travel for the moment. But to get prescriptions, you need to go to the pharmacy and nearby. So I'm going to do some more questions, and then we'll be at the end of the seminar. Let me see. Zoom. Not sure that. Stop share. Okay. Voila. Here it is. And this is the list of here. Here's a question in Flemish. Is testosterone for women, or better take DHA? No, women need DHA and testosterone, not one or the other. And DHA is not sufficient to improve all testosterone deficiency signs and symptoms. Where you can buy bioidentical hormones at the pharmacy. To work with hormones in practice is not allowed, isn't it? When you're not a doctor, yeah, you need to be a doctor to make prescriptions. In some country, DHEA, pregnenolone, and melatonin is not on prescription, so you can have them. Which protected you provide for women with testosterone injected to slow hair growth? Finasteride. Finasteride is a progesterone derivative, and that you may never give, neither to men or to women, if you don't give testosterone. Otherwise, it's not so good. Or it's for a limited period. But so finasteride with testosterone injection is 2.5 milligrams up to 7.5 milligrams in some cases. For immune stimulation, for melatonin, you need to go on higher amounts often. If the person is really infected, and between 1 and 5 milligrams orally, for example, that stimulates the conversion of T4 to T3. So you have more active thyroid hormones by doing so, and you have more growth hormone. Hello. Here's in German, where do I get thymosin alpha 1 and growth hormone and IGF-1 in Germany? Growth hormone and IGF-1 is at the pharmacy. IGF-1 is under the name of Increlex from the firm Ipsen, Increlex. And growth hormone is also at the pharmacy, but under doctor's prescription. Thymosin alpha 1 is available from Italy. We get it at the pharmacy in Belgium, but it's sent over from pharmacies or our supplier in Italy, where Italy is an official brand in the pharmacy, and it's called Zadaxin. 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 Is it a good idea to put a testosterone on your head skin against hair loss? No, it's a bad idea. Actually, I do give testosterone gel to put in the hair, but with blockers at the same times of dihydrotestosterone. So testosterone makes a man's hair grow better, but when it's converted to dihydro, that's the hormone that gives you body hair, also makes you lose scalp hair, then it's not so good. So you need to have a blocker like finasteride or Androcure or others with it, or progesterone, and then testosterone may be helpful. And actually, in my book, Reversing Physical Aging, are pictures of patients before and after, at least one patient, where you see all the hair coming back with the testosterone gel on the hair, but with other products that protect. Can we treat women in perimenopause with menopause just like menopause? Of course, yes, you can. You can treat women also before the menopause with female hormone, and you have to, even if you want to keep them healthy. What about iodine 1 milligram daily? Yes, that can be a good idea. Does it make thyroid hormone drugs? On the contrary, you still need thyroid hormones. It's only before age 3 years that iodine can correct the thyroid function in studies I've seen. So how much growth hormone should be taken for men that will give all the benefits but avoid the side effects? Well, you have to buy one of my books, the Patient Hormone Handbook or the Physician Hormone Handbook, because you find all the right doses. Doses are between 0.05 and 0.3 milligrams per day. It depends on the extent of the deficiency. If TSH is 0, so TSH is a hormone secreted by the pituitary gland to stimulate thyroid hormone. If it's very low, it can be suppressed by too much T3 and T4. And the person feels okay with doses of natural thyroid. What should she do? Because if she lowers the dose, she doesn't feel good. 1/3 of patients who have thyroid deficiency have a thyroid deficiency not because the thyroid gland is bad, but because the pituitary gland does not secrete enough TSH. So if a person has normal thyroid hormones with a thyroid preparation where TSH suppressed, it can be a sign that she has a deficiency due to pituitary insufficiency. So you need to, you may continue at the dose you're taking if you have T3 and T4 in normal range and you have no symptoms or signs of excess. But if you're a woman in the menopause, lower TSH can give osteoporosis, so you should treat yourself with female hormones. That's the only thing you need to be careful if, additionally to the fact that there may be no signs of excess thyroid hormones. How can we prevent supraphysiological hematocrit levels in patients following testosterone replacement therapy? First, the reason why the hematocrit goes high is that there's during the night often asphyxia. There's also snoring or sleep apnea. And so the person, if he can stop snoring by putting the the chin lower to next to the sternum, you breathe much better. It's all, and by sleeping on the sides in fetus position, generally there's much less snoring that may improve, but also testosterone can improve the red blood cell formation. Sometimes it's too much because you give too much testosterone, or simply it's a phenomenon that those patients need to take out blood withdrawal, 500 milliliters 4 times a year to correct the thing. So I have many patients who we cannot do it differently. They take testosterone, and to have the right dose, you need also to have blood withdrawal, 500 milliliters 3 to 4 times a year, and then it's okay. Sorry, I heard 0.1, 0.2 mg for melatonin. Is this correct? Yes, that's for sublingual melatonin. Oral, it's higher. Dear doctor, doses of hydrocodone as high as 80 milligrams you suggest for severe could impair severe diabetes and cardiac disease of the patient. Cardiac disease, certainly not. In a myocardial infarction, they have given up to 1,000 times the cortisol dose with positive effects to decrease myocardial infarction. But of course, I'm talking for a short period, 80 milligrams a day. For diabetes, it can increase the diabetes, but sometimes you have to save the life of the patient also. And so if it's for a short time, it's okay. It won't give damage to the pancreas. But you need, don't forget, if you take 80 milligrams hydrocodone, you need at least to take 80 milligrams DHA to protect the pancreas and the heart and other tissues from those milligrams. Or maybe this wouldn't be important as the risk of dying. Yeah, you answered also the question that when you have to save the life of a person, you can go to higher amounts for a short time. How do you increase anti-melatonin hormone for ovulation? I don't know. Protocol for dark spots on the face, please include topical. I think the best is that you buy the Reversing Physical Aging book, because there you really have all the details, because there are many different therapies you can do. And if it's dark spots on the face, due to adrenal deficiency, Addison's disease, it's called, then you need to give the cortisol. But you need to give in a special way, that not just like I do once a day, but you need to spread the dose 4 times a day of hydrocortisone, or to take a synthetic derivative. But dark spots can also go away with pycnogenol, 3 times 50 milligrams a day. They can decrease, and antioxidants can also be helpful. So it depends a bit on what is exactly the type of dark spots. If there's, for example, dark circles on the eyes, then you're sure there's adrenal deficiency. Why adrenal insufficiency interfere with cortisol? The adrenal glands make cortisol, DHA, and aldosterone, and many other hormones. So if you have adrenal deficiency, you generally have a complete deficiency of cortisol, aldosterone, DHA, and other hormones, and you need to correct it. Dear, before you go, could you please give us the recommended contact from you in order to get these hormones shipped to different countries? Many of our partners are actually compounding pharmacies. So if this is recorded, so you can view this later, and you get the information of them. But you have to know that it's difficult sometimes to get shipping of hormones from one country to the others. Inside of the European Union, no problem. You can ship it safely. Almost every national law authorizes it within the European Union. If it's outside, it's a problem. And United States do not accept hormones being shipped to the country, so you need to be careful. I have a specialization on hormones right now. I was in 3 days course, but I would love to learn hormones more deeply. Yes, we have a whole online courses, 68 days, and 32 days are on hormone therapy already now, so you can go to that. We'll contact you for that. Maybe I just copy that. Doesn't copy. Okay. So you go to office@hertoghe.eu and you will get the information. How to prevent negative consequences of estrogen in causing a thick uterus lining. A thick uterus lining is caused by estrogen that make you proliferate the mucosa, and that is countered by progesterone and a little testosterone too. So there's really ways, but if there's constant abundant menstruation because of thick uterus lining and the metrium, you need also to give a synthetic derivative of progesterone called dedogestrone, which is very safe. That's almost the only synthetic one that is really safe, but that has a 24-hour action that is more powerful than the one of the bioidentical progesterone. Green from Iraq. Haven't been in Belgium for Vietnam, but I'll make sure to make an appointment next time in Europe. Okay, good. Do you know if melatonin is contraindicated patients getting chemo and radiation? On the contrary, melatonin is indicated in patients getting chemo because it improves the tolerance to the chemotherapy and the radiation, and it also increases the efficacy of the chemotherapy. So in chemotherapy, it is very efficient to give melatonin. Additionally, there is, however, one researcher, Pierre Pauli, that said that in leukemia, you have to be careful. I don't believe it because I have found in vitro studies where melatonin blocked leukemia cell proliferation. But you still need to be careful. I think if you need to be careful with melatonin, it's because of adrenal deficiency and it can make the adrenals weaker. But otherwise, I think it's a good idea to take melatonin. Maybe you stop 2 days during the chemotherapy, the days of the chemotherapy, so that there is a lot of oxidation that kills the cancer cells, and then you take higher amounts again. What will hormone therapy do for the eyes, especially macular degeneration and glaucoma? You find everything in my books. You can sometimes put melatonin in the eyes against glaucoma, for example, on drops. It also has been shown to be efficient. And of course, hormones are very protective against macular degeneration. Again, melatonin and other hormones that will be mentioned, but also think vitamin D and zinc are extremely important in macular degeneration. The information, you have it also in the textbook of reversing physical aging. Is it possible to schedule an appointment for PHRT with Dr. Hertoghe? I have a whole team of patients, of doctors who work with me, so you can always book an appointment, and there is place. We have 5 doctors additionally to me. It's more difficult for me because I'm a lot busy and I do a much more extensive consultation of 2 hours, so it's more expensive. Can you recommend a reliable European compounding pharmacy? There's one supplier we saw that is called NP Pharmacy in Greece, for example, is a good one. There's also in Germany one called Forst House in the Greece one is located, I think, in Athens, and the other one is in Frankfurt. That's good pharmacy. And then we have the local pharmacy. We have 2 or 3 local pharmacies in Belgium here. May have missed it, but what is your opinion with use of testosterone hair loss in men and women to get hair back in men? And also in women, testosterone can be useful on condition it is added with finasteride. You may not have more dihydrotestosterone, but you may have more testosterone, even in women. In women where you have no result with to recover hair, you give testosterone with finasteride and it comes back. And very strongly. May I have missed, but what are the nutrients that you use to men in suppositories? That's a whole list. It's selenium, coenzyme Q10. It's also MSM, methylsulfonylmethane, which is very good for hair loss. If you have very thin hair and after 4 months, MSM, 2 times 10 grams to 20 grams per day. I take that amount every day. That's why I have more volume in my hair. Is very good, but it's also anti-cancer, MSM. It's sulfur. And there's vitamin E. There's, not sure I'm narrating everything, but so basically selenium, coenzyme Q10, vitamin E, MSM are the major ones. I also put iodine in it, but iodine drops away, so it's better to put drops of a Lugol, that's a iodine solution of 10%, not 5%, on a suppository. Then you have a supplementary anti-cancer effect of the suppositories. What's the recommended DHA amount for 55 years old woman? 20 milligrams is an average. What thyroid hormones do you prefer? Thyroidium, Armothyroid, of T-Rex? Armothyroid is better of those 3. I prefer Urfathyroid. Urfathyroid from Canada is even better, but Armor is a good fit. T-Rex is not good. And Thyroidium is a sort of product that they compound in pharmacy. Doesn't work as well, but it's maybe better than T-Rex, which is just T4. What do you do if the cortisol level is too high? Well, you give melatonin, growth hormone, and it goes down. It's an imbalance due to hormone deficiencies. Can female hormones help premenopausal woman with muscle tension and temporomuscular joint dysfunction. Progesterone can help for temporomandibular joint dysfunction and for decreasing tension. I think if you have problems of that, you might be progesterone deficient, but also magnesium deficient, and might have low growth hormone. Growth hormone, when you don't have enough growth hormone, your body's tensed. And then in French here, for low T3 with normal TSH, what can you do? You need to have T3 and T4 preparation. So I'm thinking I'm going to stop here. Maybe here again, what can I do to help men with prostate cancer on anti-testosterone therapy? So don't think it's anti-testosterone therapy is indicated in a prostate cancer patient, stupid. And experience side effects like anemia and memory problem, of course, and terrible weakness, of course. That is, they kill patients by giving hormones. A person with prostate cancer needs testosterone to survive better, but you can always give testosterone. Actually, I give testosterone to patients with prostate cancer. But I am very careful that the testosterone does not convert into estrogens. So you have to give a blocker like aromatase or aromatase, etc. Okay, I will stop here. We'll have more webinars. We'll have one mid-August, and there will be questions. Okay, so I thank you for attending. You've been a great public with a lot of questions. I haven't been able to answer everything, but at least I think I've answered most of them. Thank you. I hope to see you later. Bye-bye.